mattress for only $89.99. That's over 60% off and the lowest price ever. So hurry in today. This deal is only here while supplies last.
Why settle for ordinary when you can have extraordinary hair? Visit your local SoCal FS Cut and Color salon today and let their team of expert stylists pamper you with affordable luxury. Get a free shampoo with every cut. Book your appointment today at fantasticsams.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers and Clippers headed into the All-Star break with road wins last night. The Lakers beat Utah by 16. Anthony Davis had 37 points and 15 rebounds. Rui Hachimura dropped 36. LeBron did not play. He rested his sore left ankle. Third straight win for the Lakers. They're 4 games over 500 for the first time since December 15th. The Clippers had to finish last night's game in Golden State without Coach Ty Lue. He was ejected with 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter. The Clippers hung on to win by 5. 26 points and 7 assists for James Harden. Paul George had 24. The Clippers go into the All-Star break with the third best record in the Western Conference. They're a game and a half behind Minnesota for the top spot. Tiger Woods is back on the course today for the first time in 10 months. He's in town to compete in the Genesis Invitational at the Riviera Country Club in Pacific Palisades. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Dr. Nicordelai Corte with the KBLA Talk 1580 editorial. In a public opinion survey commissioned by KBLA Talk 1580 and conducted by Viteris, the black voters surveyed were highly enthusiastic about the March 2024 primary. The race for Los Angeles District Attorney is being hotly contested. Incumbent DA George Gascon's efforts to implement progressive criminal justice reforms have generated pushback from within his own office, the broader law enforcement community, and some in the general public. He was the subject of at least 2 failed attempts to qualify recalls. The concerns about crime are reflected in the polling results of black voters. Nearly 1 in 4 have been victims of violent crime or have someone close to them who has been a victim. 1 in 5 black voters have personally been victims of property crime in the last 2 years. A majority of respondents feel less safe than they did a year or 2 ago, but they reject the notion that criminal justice reform has gone too far. This year, black voters will be looking for candidates who speak to the complexity of the issues as opposed to a one-size-fits-all approach. Nearly half of black voters have an unfavorable view of DA Gascon, but his challengers are largely unknown. Nearly half of the black voters are also undecided, which means there's a clear opportunity for candidates to connect with black voters. Our poll makes 3 things abundantly clear. Black voters matter. Black voters are closely following this race, and the candidates for DA have a lot of work to do. KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to the mobilization and use of the franchise to empower our audience to identify and pursue their interests in advancing equity, inclusive representation, and multiracial solidarity. For KBLA Talk 1580, I'm Dr. Nicordelai Corte. We welcome your feedback.
Live from historic Leimert Park in Los Angeles, California, I'm Tavis Smiley, and I'm so glad to see you and me back in stride again. Before we get started with today's show, let me invite you to follow me on Facebook and Instagram at The Real Tavis Smiley and get updates on X, that's formerly Twitter, at Tavis Smiley. By the way, should you miss any part of today's program or want to catch up on previous shows, you can always visit thetavissmileyshow.com. That's thetavissmileyshow.com, or wherever you get your podcast, and listen to the Tavis Smiley podcast version of this live program at your leisure. Another great show on tap for you today. In our second hour, what's up with all the cussing? I mean, I'm not trying to be a Puritan, but is that how we communicate these days? Professor Emeritus in Psychology at the Massachusetts College of Liberal Arts, Dr. Tim Gray, says there are actually benefits to swearing. Really? All right, Miles, get the bleep button ready. It's a conversation today about cussing. Just a little tease for you before we get to hour two. Dr. Gray says that cussing may be a sign of intelligence. Cussing may be a sign of honesty. That profanity improves pain tolerance. Cussing is a sign of creativity. And that cussing is much better than throwing punches. We'll talk about cussing and why everybody's doing it from the president on down today in hour two. What's up with all the cussing? In our third hour, two conversations. Up first, David Crownson on the inspiration behind his best-selling comic book, Harriet Tubman, Demon Slayer. And on the B side of hour three, the co-host of Entertainment Tonight, Nichelle Turner, on this very busy award season, which we find ourselves in the midst of right now. But in this first hour, two more conversations. On the B side of this hour, Congressman Steve Cohen on funding for Israel, the GOP's impeachment of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, and many more trending political topics on the back side of this hour. But we commence today's show with the legendary, and I do mean iconic, consumer advocate and former presidential candidate Ralph Nader, who has a new book out called The Rebellious CEO, 12 Leaders Who Did It Right. I am pleased once again in my career to be in dialogue with the iconic consumer advocate Ralph Nader. Ralph Nader, my friend, how are you, sir?
Good. How are you, Travis?
It's been a long time, man. It's good to hear your voice again. How you been?
Good. Glad to see you're up and on the air.
Yeah, oh yeah. You know how we do it around here. We got to keep it moving. Got to keep it moving. A lot to be done this year. A lot to talk about. And I'm glad I've got you for these 30 minutes. Let me just start with two broad questions, just two big questions, and I'll narrow it and get right into your book here in a moment. But first of all, when you look at the political landscape right now, I'm asking you a broad question so you can go anywhere you want to go. When you look at the political landscape right now, Ralph Nader, what are you seeing?
Well, in terms of foreign and military policy, there's not much difference between the Republicans and Democrats. They're both on board to destroy the Palestinians in Gaza and ship another $14 billion of weaponry to Israel. And the empire is all over the world. We have bases in over 90 countries. We have 36 military installations in the Middle East. And there's not much space between the congressional Democrats and congressional Republicans. Domestically, I think you have to hand it to the Democrats. They have a better social safety net. Mm-hmm. They're better but not good enough on civil rights and civil liberties. They want to preserve Medicare, Social Security, where Trump wants to preserve Social Security, but he doesn't much like Medicare, and he certainly doesn't like Medicaid. Mm-hmm. In terms of regulating Wall Street, the Democrats talk a good game, but it's surprising to some, as reported in the Capital Citizen, which is our new newspaper, Tavis, on Congress, whose motto, by the way, is democracy dies in broad daylight.
Oh, yeah.
And the article has Biden's Justice Department has brought fewer corporate crime cases than even Trump's Justice Department. So we have a mixed bag. It's too bad we have a two-party duopoly, but there are third parties, and people should take a look at them. I believe people should vote their conscience, and we'll all be better off as a result. And then we'll get some reforms like getting rid of the Electoral College, gerrymandering, and making one man, one woman, one vote count.
Yeah, I'm just getting started with Ralph Nader. I am laughing already. It's been a while. He and I have known each other for many, many years. I consider him a friend, and not just an iconic and treasured American. But he's almost 90 years old. He'll be 90 on February 27th, later this month. And as you can tell, his command is as sharp as ever of all these issues. I hope I get to 90, and I hope that my mind works the way his does when I get to be that age. You heard him say a moment ago that the motto of their paper is that democracy dies in broad daylight. The late great judge, federal judge Damon Keith, who the black judge out of Detroit, who had the ruling on the Watergate case back in the Nixon era, once wrote famously that democracies die behind closed doors. That's a great line. Democracies die behind closed doors. Here comes Ralph Nader in 2024 telling you that democracy dies in broad daylight. I love it. The one and only Ralph Nader right now on Tavis Smiley.
You're listening to Tavis Smiley. Tavis Smiley. Ranked number 45 on the Heavy 100 list of the 100 most important radio talk show hosts in America.
What is dedication?
My biggest fear in the middle of my addiction was that my kids wouldn't have a father. And I started thinking, you know what? This isn't my story. I definitely had to become a better man to be a better father. It's important to me that my kids are empowered and truly believe that if they can think it, they can do it.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Joey from Vermont, a farmer trying to get through the winter. Adriana from South Carolina, a single mother living paycheck to paycheck. Liam from Ohio, an injured father struggling to provide for his family. Hi, I'm Shanola Hampton, and I support the Feeding America network of food banks because they help provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year. Learn more at feedingamerica.org.
It's game day at Jim's house, and the spread is impressive.
Mike's already done some damage with the hot wings, and now he's dropping back and going deep for another slice of pizza.
I sure hope he brought the Pepto.
Mike knows the Pepto-Bismol provides fast 5-symptom relief from unexpected stomach upsets. He's no rookie.
The way he's throwing back those nachos, he's the GOAT.
Be ready for game day with Pepto-Bismol.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies. Count on real-time product availability and fast delivery. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
What's up, LA? This is John McKinney, your next district attorney. Voting is underway, and public safety is the top issue on the ballot. As a deputy district attorney for over 25 years, I know Los Angeles, and I know how to keep this community safe. And as an African American who lives and works in this community, I know the unique challenges we face. My promise to you is to ensure accountability, protect victims' rights, and give the underserved a voice. I'm John McKinney, and I ask for your vote for LA County District Attorney.
Sounds different, huh? This is Tavis Smiley.
This is Tavis Smiley in dialogue with the one and only Ralph Nader. Ralph Nader, obviously the most iconic, most noted consumer advocate, I think, in the history of this country, and I'm honored to be in dialogue with him. He is corporate America's fiercest critic, and one Supreme Court Justice, William Powell, in fact, called him the single most effective antagonist ever of American business, and I'm delighted to be in dialogue with him once again in my broadcast career. Ralph Nader, you didn't even wait for me to ask, man. You went straight there, so let me follow you. Not long ago, our friend and brother Cornel West was in this studio. There's Cornel West. We also RFK, Bobby Kennedy, Bobby Jr., run an ad during the Super Bowl for his independent campaign. Of course, there's Jill Stein, there's Marianne Williamson, there's Dean Phillips. So you're right about the fact that while everybody talks about Trump and Biden, it is not a binary choice. But since you went there again, let me follow you. For over 20 years now, for over 2 decades, you have been blamed for the election of George W. Bush. Had you not been in that race, Al Gore would not have lost to George W. Bush. They blamed you for that for 2 decades now. 2 decades later, how do you respond to that criticism, sir?
complete scapegoating by the Democratic Party. They never look at themselves in the mirror and say, how come they didn't landslide this bumbling governor, George W. Bush in Texas, who couldn't put 3 sentences together, who had a terrible record in civil rights, terrible record on children protection, let the polluters pollute at will, and gave all kinds of tax breaks, including to his own business in Texas. And they couldn't defeat him. So they always blame the Greens. They always blame anybody but themselves. But they don't blame, for example, 330,000 Democrats in Florida voted for Bush in 2000. Yeah, how about that? And how about that the Supreme Court overruled the Florida Supreme Court recount of the votes for the whole state, stopped it cold, and they were Republican justices, gave the presidency to George W. Bush, which is why we say he was selected in 2000, not elected. So, they got to look at themselves in the mirror again now coming up. Why can't they landslide the worst, most corrupt, most corporate indentured party, voter suppression, clearly on the record against extending the child tax credit, raising the minimum wage, against workers, children, against women's rights, and it's a close race? Well, that reflects pretty badly on the Democratic Party, doesn't it, Tavis?
Yeah. What do you make of the fact that with all that you've just said, I can't do it any better? What do you make of the fact that they cannot landslide Donald Trump? What do you make of that?
Because they're not close enough to the people. Look, politics means how government impacts the lives and livelihoods of people. That's what politics is. So anybody who listens to your show and said, I'm not into politics, I don't want to vote, it's useless, you can't escape politics. Politics means you don't get paid what you earn. Politics means you don't get covered for your health care. Bad politics means that the corporate supremacists dominate everything, addict your children 5-7 hours a day on that iPhone into the internet gulag run by the wardens like Zuckerberg and others, Facebook, Meta, Instagram, separating these kids from their parents, community, nature, instilling in them bad promotions for junk food and junk drink and violent programming. That's what bad politics means. You don't want to do anything about that? Look at yourself in the mirror. Don't you have a higher estimate of your own significance, person? That's what you got to talk to people about and say to the Democrats, you're not going to win elections if you don't connect with working people. What Bishop Barber calls the poor working class. The poor working class. He's starting a 32-state tour for the Poor People's Campaign, as you know so well, Tavis, because you did a similar campaign with Cornel West a number of years ago when Obama was president. And his point is very, very clear. A 10% increase in voter turnout by the poor working class in the swing states defeats Donald Trump. Just a 10% increase. 120 million people are not going to vote in the November election who are eligible to vote and eligible to register.
So that when again he's Ralph Nader still got it. He's as sharp as ever. When people refer to Cornel West, I hate this term, but when people refer to Cornel West as they did you back in the day, or Bobby Kennedy or others as spoiler candidates, how does that word land on you? A spoiler candidate, as if these votes belong to these Democratic and Republican candidates.
Yeah, exactly. The Republicans and Democrats think they own the votes. They don't have to earn them. When they call third-party independent candidates, Tavis, spoilers, that is a politically bigoted word. They never use it against each other.
That's
you
right.
never see the Democrats and Republicans calling each other
spoilers. Exactly. I love it.
By the way, everybody's supposed to have an equal right to run for election. So if everybody has an equal right to run for election, and they all trying to get votes from one another, either they're all spoilers of each other or none of them are spoilers. Let's get rid of that politically bigoted word because it has discriminatory consequences. It helps keep people off the ballot. It intimidates people from running for election, and it rejects the voters getting more voices and choices. What's wrong with the voters getting more voices and choices?
So
two-party duopoly,
so
dialing for the same corporate dollars and obeying the same corporate paymasters.
Yeah. So rhetorically, the answer to your question, what's wrong with more voices and more choices, is that if more voices and more choices help land Donald Trump back in the White House, that's the real problem for our democracy. That's the answer to that question many would pose to you, Ralph Nader.
It's very simple to answer, and the Democrats have refused, and that is instant runoff voting, where people vote for their first choice, second choice, third choice. If on election day nobody wins a majority, the second choice triggers in, and the third choice triggers in until automatically someone wins a majority. And that way, they can't blame third parties. But the Democrats don't want any principled competition. It isn't just that they don't want third parties to get votes. They don't want third parties to show them up for what they are.
No, I hear you. I hear you loud and clear. It's a strong argument, powerful and persuasive, that we deserve to have more choices. We deserve to have more voices, but there are those who stand in the way of that. I digress for now. Ralph Nader has made his point and made it quite clear. Let me shift now to your new book, The Rebellious CEO, 12 Leaders Who Did It Right. I must tell you, Ralph, when this book came across my desk, I looked to see if it was indeed written by Ralph. I said, Ralph Nader wrote this book? Corporate America did something right? So I was actually kind of shocked until I got in it, and I understand the argument that you're making. So tell me why you wrote this book, The Rebellious CEO, 12 Leaders Who Did It Right.
Because we got to have good yardsticks, and there are no yardsticks except what big business CEOs define as market fundamentalism. Hey, why are you doing this with the opiates? Why are you selling opiates? Well, it's a market demand. We're just responding to the market. Hey, why are you selling all these fossil fuels that are burning the earth? Oh, it's just market demand. Well, they create the market. They manipulate it. They deplete it. They deceive it. They monopolize it. Corporate crime destroys a free market. Getting big business subsidized disadvantages small business who doesn't have the clout to get bailed out in Washington when they're on hard times. So we want new yardsticks, and these CEOs, they basically reversed the business model, Tavis. They said, okay, we're going to start this company, Patagonia, Interface, Midas Muffler, whatever, Body Shop. We're going to start this, and we're going to first treat our workers well. Second, we're going to treat consumers well. Third, we're going to treat the environmental health well. 4, we're going to speak out publicly against injustice. 5, we're going to criticize our companies in our own industry. We're not going to shut up and censor ourselves. And they all made money. So they reversed the business model, but they always paid attention to profits, and they made money. The founder of Southwest Airlines, Herb Kelleher, when he got underway, I couldn't believe how the stewardess and stewardess treated people so wonderfully and tried to say yes to them instead of the other airlines saying, sorry, company policy, no. So I called him up one day. I said, Herb, everybody called him Herb. I said, thank you for treating airline passengers so well. And he said, yeah, what do you mean? I said, I'm glad you put consumers top priority. He said, I didn't put consumers top priority. He said, my top priority is my people, which he called his workers. If you treat the workers well, they're going to treat the consumers well. If the consumers get treated well, they buy our services and our tickets and make our shareholders happy. That's the sequence. And that's why I wrote this book. And it's a book for millions of college students majoring in business who are never given the yardsticks. They're never given the other side of how business can be responsible and how corporations can be our servants, not our masters. And some of these CEOs were really revolutionary. Ray Anderson founded Interface Corporation in Georgia, Atlanta. It's the biggest tile carpet manufacturer in the world. And in 1994, I heard a lecture by Paul Hawken on the ecology of commerce. And he came back and said to his colleagues, we're completely changing this company. We're going to make it carbon neutral and make more money and reduce our expenses and improve worker safety. By 2019, unfortunately, he passed away in cancer, but by 2019, they were the first significant company in America to be carbon neutral, and now they're going carbon negative. So these people were not just fooling around. They didn't overpay themselves because they wanted to be an example for the workers. Not like Tim Cook of Apple. You know, a year ago, he was making $833 a minute. A minute, Tavis. $833 a minute, not counting benefits.
Yeah. No, it is obscene. It is obscene. I've got 3 minutes left here. I could do this for hours if I had the time, if you had the time. Your stamina is strong as ever, as I mentioned a moment ago. But let me just ask you right quick in the 3 minutes I have. Last year, as I've said many times, was the best year that I've seen, Ralph Nader, in a long time for workers. How did you read the success, the massive success in many places that workers had last year? And was that just an outlier, or do you think that's a wave coming into the future that workers will, you know, Dr. King always said that people can only ride your back if it's bent, because once you straighten your back up, you're going somewhere. Workers seem to have straightened their backs up last year, Ralph Nader.
Yeah, well, just quickly, one is the Biden legislation during the pandemic, the trillions of dollars. It filtered down. Then there was a worker shortage for many reasons, including the pandemic. And then there's more union organizing. They're already starting, you know, in Starbucks and Amazon and other places like that. So you put all those together, shortage of workers and the trillions of dollars into the economy from the Biden legislation through Congress, and a rise in worker progressivism. This is the first time that major unions have demanded a ceasefire and humanitarian aid to Gaza.
That's right.
They would never do that in the past because there's up-and-coming young workers, many of minority workers, especially in the UAW and the teachers union, and things are very promising on that score.
Yeah.
And also, we write about this in the Capitol Citizen. You want to get a new copy? It's on print only. We don't believe in putting it out on the internet and all the distraction and everything, and people love it. Go to CapitolHillCitizen.com. Hot off the presses today.
I love it. He's still doing it and knows how to push the product as he should. His new book is called The Rebellious CEO, 12 Leaders Who Did It Right. You hear me say all the time on this program that I leave this studio every day smarter than when I came in. And I'm always grabbing something that I can hold on to for the rest of the day. Sometimes that thing shows up in the second hour, sometimes in the third hour, sometimes in the first hour, sometimes in the first 30 minutes. And Ralph Nader has given me my line for the day that I'll be noodling and marinating on and holding on to for a few days, I suspect. That line that he uttered earlier, a higher estimate of your own existence. That's what you need. A higher estimate of your own existence. Ralph Nader, I thank you for that line. It's mine after today, brother. It's mine after today. And I thank you for your work and your witness all these years. And I especially thank you for this new book, The Rebellious CEO, 12 Leaders Who Did It Right. Ralph Nader, you got to come back on again, man, when you got more time.
Of course, call anytime. Thank your listeners.
I think they heard you. They heard you, and they feel grateful, I'm sure, for this conversation with you. You always are straight, no chaser. You're always transparent, and I appreciate you. I'll talk to you soon, my friend. Stay strong and take care of yourself.
You too.
All right, my friend. Ralph Nader, I mean, that brother, as I said earlier in that conversation, for 20-plus years, they've been blaming Ralph Nader for the election of George W. Bush. I didn't buy it then. I don't buy it now. And I hate that term spoiler. And his explanation for why we got to get rid of it in our discourse, get rid of it in our politics, is the best explanation I have ever heard. I couldn't do better myself. But we need more voices. We need more choices. Don't come telling me that Cornel West or Bobby Kennedy or somebody's a spoiler. You beat Donald Trump. You want to beat Donald Trump? Beat Donald Trump. Beat him. And Ralph Nader makes a strong argument. You can't landslide this idiot. You can't landslide this fool. You can't do that, but you want to blame somebody else? Stop it. All right, more Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
Seeking the truth. Speaking the truth. This is the Tavis Smiley Show.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
My daughter was diagnosed with a rare malignant rhabdoid tumor on the spine. They sent her straight to St. Jude. My hope was gone. But when you get there, everyone's like, hey, we're not going to give up. And when you see other people not giving up on your child, that makes all the difference in the world. When I found out I didn't have to pay, I was just grateful. They saved my baby's life.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Thank you for joining us, everyone. I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Jury selection in Donald Trump's hush money trial will begin next month. A New York judge today denied Trump's motions to dismiss the charges and said the case will proceed to jury selection on March 25th. The decision came just minutes after Trump entered the courtroom for the hearing this morning. Trump faces felony counts of falsifying business records connected to alleged payments made to an adult film actress during his 2016 presidential run. New York City is suing social media companies over their roles in fueling the mental health crisis among children. African-American Mayor Eric Adams says the city is joining hundreds of school districts from across the country in filing litigation against TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, and YouTube. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Don't miss huge savings on better sleep during Mattress Firm's President's Day sale. For a limited time, shop in store to score a Sleepy's Queen mattress for only $89.99. That's over 60% off and the lowest price ever. So hurry in today. This deal is only here while supplies last.
Why are people saying Hugh yeah to Jackson Hewitt? When you switch to Jackson Hewitt, they will beat what you paid last year on tax prep, even if you filed online. Proof of prior year payment required when filing. New clients only at participating locations through April 7th. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers and Clippers headed into the All-Star break with road wins last night. The Lakers beat Utah by 16. Anthony Davis had 37 points and 15 rebounds. Rui Hachimura dropped 36. LeBron did not play. He rested his sore left ankle. Third straight win for the Lakers. They're 4 games over 500 for the first time since December 15th. The Clippers had to finish last night's game in Golden State without Coach Ty Lue. He was ejected with 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter. The Clippers hung on to win by 5. 26 points and 7 assists for James Harden. Paul George had 24. The Clippers go into the All-Star break with the third best record in the Western Conference. They're a game and a half behind Minnesota for the top spot. Tiger Woods is back on the course today for the first time in 10 months. He's in town to compete in the Genesis Invitational at the Riviera Country Club in Pacific Palisades. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
We all agree that America has a very serious problem.
Okay, KBLA delegation, we need your help as we launch our 2024 Climate Justice Campaign. We would deeply appreciate you going to our KBLA 1580 website and filling out a short climate justice survey, which will help us better serve our beloved community as we build out this campaign. It'll take you just a few short minutes to complete the online survey, and the information you provide us will be invaluable as we do our part to hold folk accountable and amplify the voices of our people in this climate conversation. When you take the survey, you'll be automatically entered to win seats at our annual Black History Month luncheon, Thursday, February 29th. So, hit our website at KBLA 1580. Help us out by taking the short Climate Justice Campaign survey, and you could be our guest at our annual Black History Month luncheon, Thursday, February 29th. Thank you in advance for your consideration and cooperation. At KBLA Talk 1580, we care about the community, we care about the climate.
Did you know COVID-19 vaccines have been updated this season? They're one of the best ways to help protect yourself against recent variants, and most people in the U.S. should continue to pay nothing out of pocket for COVID-19 vaccines. Uninsured or underinsured adults can receive them at no cost at participating Bridge program locations. And eligible children can receive them through the Vaccines for Children program at participating providers. For children, COVID-19 vaccines are at no cost, but there may be fees such as for the visit or administration. Book a vaccine option at schedulecovidvax.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Motor Trend Group LLC has the following position in El Segundo: software development engineer to help develop the next year generation of Motor Trend Group's platforms of MotorTrend.com and key brands. Position requires 10% domestic travel. Remote work permitted. Salary $177,029 to $180,000 per year. Contact Motor Trend Group LLC at WBDI at WBD.com. Reference 02944.000523.
You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580, where climate is king. Climate is king.
Spend an evening with MSNBC political analyst and host of The Readout, Joy Ann Reid at Pomona College on Thursday, February 15th at 7 p.m. Celebrate the release of her new book, Merle and Medgar, Medgar Evers and the Love Story That Changed America. The event is free and open to the public, but tickets are required. You can even purchase a signed copy of the book. Visit www.pomona.edu/bridges to reserve tickets now.
Ready to re-examine your assumptions and expand your inventory of ideas? More of Tavis Smiley coming your way right now.
Let's talk politics now with longtime Memphis Democratic Congressman Steve Cohen. Congressman Cohen, it's been a long time since I heard your voice, sir. Good to have you on this program. How are you today?
I'm good, Tavis. Always good to be with you. You're a star of many, many years, and I appreciate your work.
I do yours, man. Good to be in dialogue with you once again. Let me just start with this, a broad question here. I just had a spirited conversation with Ralph Nader. And Ralph Nader, at almost 90, is as sharp as ever. I said to him, Ralph, for 20-plus years, people have blamed you for George W. Bush being president. Had you not been in that race, Al Gore might have defeated George Bush. We talked about that, of course, and a number of other things. But he made a strong point in that conversation that I want to get your take on as a lifelong Democrat. His question was, and not at all rhetorically, is why Democrats can't landslide the worst candidate, the worst president in the history of this republic. Why is this race so close? What are Democrats not seeing when they look in the mirror? If you can't landslide Donald Trump, you got a problem. How would you respond to that?
We've got an unbelievable division in our country politically. And the people that support Trump in general, not all of them, but a great deal of them, are poorly educated, they're racist, they're anti-Semitic. They are people that have not gotten out of their little hollers or burgs or whatever, and they are fearful of blacks getting more opportunities to participate in business and government and society. They hate diversity, inclusion, and equity because they think that it promotes people based on their race and takes jobs away from them, and or white people, because a lot of them, they wouldn't get the jobs anyway, these people, but other Caucasians. And they don't like and fear the idea of whites not being the majority in this country in the future. So they don't like immigration, all this stuff about the Democrats bringing in the immigrants into the country because they're going to be voters. I know in my district the Hispanics don't vote very well. They may vote well in Florida, they may vote well in Texas, but the ones that have just immigrated into the country usually kind of hang low for a while. So, I mean, there's a lot of paranoia out there in those people, and they like Trump being angry and mean and saying nasty things to women and to people in general because that's what they do. So you're talking about a society that doesn't know what's woke because they don't even know how a lot of them how to treat people with respect. But there's a big division, and we have in the Democrats, we've got a lot of people in our coalition, and then the people who the Trump world, I've seen them they've attacked me on different places. They are poorly educated, but they are insular, and they do not like given African Americans opportunity. They don't like Jews. They think Jews are taking over the world, have too much power. They don't want immigrants. They don't, and it's just so there's not much we can do about that. We're going to be for immigration.
I was just about to ask that question, so I'm glad you went there. As you describe the problem, and I'm not sure I disagree with you, But as you describe the problem, it almost sounds to me as if there is nothing that can be done about that. Dr. King famously said that you can't legislate morality. So if that's how these people feel, if they are insular, to use your word, if they continue to turn more and more, how might I put it, more nativist every single day, looking inward and blaming everybody else on the outside, if that is the frame that we are in, it almost sounds to me that this is an intractable, this division that is an intractable issue, and there's nothing that can be done about it?
Just generations. You got to have generations go on, and to have more exposure to different people, and you don't get that in rural areas. A lot of rural areas, people have been there for years. They're connected to the land. They farm, and that's important and good. But they don't get out and see other people, and it's going to take a long time. I mean, I've seen my life, and we've had problems. We had problems in Memphis, and we still got problems in Memphis with race. Yep. And you got them all over the country.
Yep.
It's just
let me ask you a question about you. You've been a long-time congressman, as I said, from Memphis. I've been honored to know you for a couple of decades now, maybe longer. But there have been a number of politics over the last year that we have been watching, specifically in the state of Tennessee, that doesn't put your state in such a good light. We all recall the drama regarding the two Justins, of course, in the State House. We know and have discussed many times the murder of Tyree Nichols at the hands of Memphis police. I mean, Memphis and the state of Tennessee has not looked so good. I mean, Florida, I'm not going to call you a Florida just yet. Florida is always fraught with drama. It seems every time there's a crazy story politically, it comes out of the state of Florida. Of course, that is the home of Donald Trump. It is the home of Ron DeSantis, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But what say you about your state? It ain't been looking so good lately in the frame that we see you in.
Tennessee is a very conservative state. A lot of people moved to Tennessee to retire, particularly in East Tennessee, because of the fact we don't have any income tax, and it's a pretty country there, and people do like to retire there. And it's brought people that are conservative and predominantly white to those parts of the state. But the people who live there, we used to support Democrats in the rural areas in West Tennessee, in particular, Middle Tennessee, don't do it anymore, and they just vote Republican. We've got a House that's got, I think, 27 Democrats. It used to be when I was served, and I served 24 years in the Tennessee Senate, the House was always majority Democrat. And the Senate was majority Democrat as well, which means 17 at a minimum. Now there are 5 Democratic senators in the whole state. The governor is very conservative. He didn't spend some TANF monies he got. That goes to help people and children, and he didn't spend them. And he was going to refuse monies for school lunches. He did at the last minute, accepted. Some states have turned it down. We've got one of the worst records on gun laws. We've got open carry. I saw Missouri was rated 48th worst on gun laws. I figured Tennessee probably was 47 or 49. We do everything the gun people want, we do, and then we wonder why do we have crime. But we got open carry in Tennessee, and they would not do anything, even after the shootings at the church in Nashville, where these people were killed, including a woman who was best friends or good friends with the governor's wife. They couldn't pass any legislation at all. The red flag law was, you might as well have been talking about putting a hammer and sickle on the flag. They wouldn't touch a red flag law. And those are the kind of things you need to have. So Tennessee's got some really conservative values, and beyond conservative, they're MAGA values. And these people go to they're trying to take powers away from the cities because the cities are mostly Democrat. Memphis would like to not have open carry, but it's a state law, and they won't allow Memphis to deal with that issue. We've had other issues on ranked choice voting. They passed a law that said no city or county could have ranked choice voting on their own decision. It had to be a state decision. Why they're afraid of ranked choice voting, I don't know, but they are. And there have been other things. Well, we were fortunate to get the statues taken out of Memphis, the Nathan Bedford Forrest statue, because it was supposed to be up to a state authority that had been established to determine about statues and whether they could be removed or not in the city. It's a state decision, not a local decision.
Yeah.
So we've got we go to the bottom on a lot of things, and we got a lot of crime, and we got a lot of crime in our city, and that's something we've got to be concerned about.
No, we've seen some strange politics in Tennessee of late, so I thought I'd give you an opportunity to kind of sound off on that. When we come forward from Memphis, I go straight to Washington, where you, of course, serve, representing Memphis. There have been a number of issues on the Hill over the last couple of days. I want to get your take on, including the impeachment of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas and a few other things that I want to talk to Congressman Steve Cohen about when we come forward.
Hope, agency, dignity. This is Tavis Smiley.
Can you dig it? Come on!
What is dedication?
My biggest fear in the middle of my addiction was that my kids wouldn't have a father. And I started thinking, you know what? This isn't my story. I definitely had to become a better man to be a better father. It's important to me that my kids are empowered and truly believe that if they can think it, they can do it.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Joey from Vermont, a farmer trying to get through the winter. Adriana from South Carolina, a single mother living paycheck to paycheck. Liam from Ohio, an injured father struggling to provide for his family. Hi, I'm Shanola Hampton, and I support the Feeding America network of food banks because they help provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year. Learn more at feedingamerica.org.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we do Black history every single day. In fact, as the only Black talk radio station west of the Mississippi, we are Black history. Our annual Black History Month luncheon is fast approaching, and we want to be sure to give you ample time to get your company, organization, church, or group to join us at this year's celebration on the last day of the month, Thursday, February 29th at noon. Last year, we honored iconic local Black media personalities, including Pat Harvey, Jim Hill, Mark Brown, Beverly White, Sandy Banks, and Pat Prescott, and raised $20,000 in scholarships. This year, we're honoring Black Hollywood creatives who have used their artistic genius as climate justice champions. At this year's luncheon, we will be showcasing and sharing their inspiring work on our big screen. Plus, a scrumptious meal, live music, great company, and lots of fun with your favorite KBLA Talk 1580 hosts. So contact us today at info@smileyaudio.com or call 323-290-4690. That's info@smileyaudio.com or call 323-290-4690. We hope to see you Thursday, February 29th as we close out Black History Month. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your Black.
When you're young, life is full of choices. Don't let opioids like highly addictive and deadly fentanyl take away your life with just one wrong pill. Addiction is a disease that can affect anyone at any age. But there is a choice to get help for this disease. Find medically proven treatment options, including virtual, at choosemat.org.
Who do you trust to get at the truth? Tavis Smiley. That's who. The conversation continues right now.
It does indeed with Memphis Congressman Steve Cohen, who I'm honored to have on this program. So how am I to read what these Republicans tried to do the first time, failed, came back a second time, and did it successfully, albeit by one vote? This impeachment of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, what is that about?
Well, they want to use the border crisis as an issue in the election, and Trump wants to use it. Of course, he was going to have a wall, that Mexico was going to pay for, but that's one of his issues, and they don't want to. They didn't want to accept the Senate bill, which was a good bill and probably as tough a bill as ever been close to passage in the United States history, and they didn't want to pass it because they don't want to deal with the issue. They don't want to deal with the problem. They want to deal with the issue and keep it alive. So Mayorkas was a symbol, but impeaching him, they're like saying Mayorkas, who was Biden's appointee, didn't do a good job. He didn't follow the law. He didn't keep these people out, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's no basis whatsoever. Even the most conservative Republican lawyers like Jonathan Turley said there's nothing here to be an impeachable offense. There's no high crime and misdemeanor, treason, high crimes and misdemeanors. There was no basis in law or the Constitution whatsoever for what they did. Mayorkas is a decent, honorable man who's worked hard at his job and is doing what he can with the monies he's got. And they need more. They need more border officers. They need more asylum judges, and they need more capacity. They need a lot more money. That was in that bill. They didn't care about the bill. They care about the appearance. And of course, Mayorkas won't be impeached by won't be convicted in the Senate.
No way. Yeah.
Wish they could find a way just to not even have it, because they could. There's just be a show over there too. Martin Taylor Greene's one of their impeachment managers.
Yeah, I was just reading today before I came on the air that Chuck Schumer has basically said they're going to dispense of this pretty quickly. I don't know exactly what that means, but to your point, it's not going to get full throttle or nowhere near it in the United States Senate. So no matter what the House did, Chuck Schumer, apparently, Congressman Cohen, isn't going to even take it seriously on the Senate side.
Well, they shouldn't. If there's such a thing as a motion for a summary judgment and impeachment, then I'll be asked for and granted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, if that happens, then you're right. It will go away rather quickly. I'm watching my clock here. Let me do this. When we come forward in my remaining moments, I want to talk to you about your vote specifically on aid to Israel. As you know, we've been talking for days, weeks now, about aid to Israel and aid to Ukraine and whether or not it ought to go forward. And I had an interesting conversation, actually a very spirited conversation yesterday. I want to just tell you where I want to go when we come forward, Congressman Cohen, and get your response. And what came out of that conversation yesterday about Israel going into Rafah, even though Joe Biden and everybody in the whole world basically said don't do it, they went anyway, and now they're there. And the question that was posed on this program yesterday is why we keep telling Bibi Netanyahu not to do X, Y, or Z. Every time we say don't do something, he does it. And yet we keep sending him weapons. Your thoughts about that when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
What's your quarrel with the world? You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found BenefitsCheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. BenefitsCheckup.org.
My daughter was diagnosed with a rare malignant rhabdoid tumor on the spine. They sent her straight to St. Jude. My hope was gone. But when you get there, everyone's like, hey, we're not going to give up. And when you see other people not giving up on your child, that makes all the difference in the world. When I found out I didn't have to pay, I was just grateful they saved my baby's life.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 believes in community empowerment. LA's 99 neighborhood councils form the grassroots level of the Los Angeles city government. The system was created to connect LA's diverse communities to City Hall. While neighborhood council board members are volunteers, they are also public officials elected to office by the members of their community. Neighborhood councils advocate on issues like homelessness, housing, land use, emergency preparedness, public safety, parks, transportation, and sustainability. They also provide local expertise on the delivery of city services to their various communities. Neighborhood councils are open to participation by anyone who is a part of the fabric of daily life in said community. This includes those who live, work, or own property or a business. If you are interested in stepping up to join your local neighborhood council, visit www.empower empowerla.org. That's empowerla.org. It's time to think globally, but act locally. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. Go ahead, feel your engine. Admire that perfectly installed exhaust. Your vehicle's moving along this freeway like it was made from fresh installs and a whole lot of love. With eBay Motors, you get over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Smart talk for curious people just like you. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Congressman Steve Cohen out of Memphis as we wrap up this half hour talking politics. I got about 4 minutes left. Congressman Cohen, I'll give it to you. 2 questions. What is your position on aid to Israel, number 1? And number 2, how do you respond to those who ask the question why we keep telling Bibi not to do, Bibi Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel? We say don't do this. We're concerned about civilian life. Don't go there, Bibi. Don't do this. He every time we tell him something, he pushes past it anyway, and yet we keep sending aid. We keep sending weapons to Israel for him to do what we tell him not to do. Your thoughts?
I've never been a fan of Netanyahu's from the time I met him 18 years ago. He came to speak to Congress when Trump was president, and Obama was president, and the Speaker invited him to speak, and he came to speak to Congress without having talked to the president. I did not attend that speech because I didn't like him and I didn't like the process. He's a lot like Trump in the way he deals with issues and the way he deals with government and the way he violates the law and is kind of trying to get reelected to keep himself out of jail. I don't like that now at all. But the Israeli people, I have great love for, and for the country and its purpose. What happened on October 7th was Hamas breaking what had been a ceasefire for the 4th or 5th time, causing a war with Israel, going in and killing 1,200 Israeli citizens, kidnapping 240 others, committing rapes and all kind of horrific acts on people there, almost all women, but even a man or two, as I understand it, but women that were definitely mistreated and raped. And they've said since they will do it again. If given the opportunity, they will do it again. There'll be October 7th again and again and again. It's in their charter of Hamas to eliminate Israel. That means when they say from the river to the sea, that means that area is all going to be Palestine, not Israel. They want to get rid of Israel, and they just as soon kill every Jew in the world. So I can see why Netanyahu wants to get rid of Hamas and why the United States wants to help him get rid of Hamas, because Hamas is not dealing with the Palestinian people in good faith. They hide among the Palestinians, use them as shields in the area during the war. They're down in tunnels with plenty of food, plenty of water, medicine, in tunnels and safe from the bombs. They don't invite any of the Palestinians down there for safety or for food or for water. They're looking out for themselves, and their purpose was and is to build this fortress and have it for a way to take Israel out. It's not to make Gaza a hospitable and nice community where Palestinians can have opportunity and their children can have opportunity. It's terrible that we have to deal with Netanyahu. He will not win the next election. Unfortunately, the election has to be called. He'll be voted out. It's a real conundrum because you feel terrible for the people in Gaza who have died, for the people who have been injured, lost limbs and whatever, lots of children, which is more emotional, but it's human beings are human beings. And it's terrible, and I think that while that's part of war, they may not have been as tactical and as precise as they could have been. But it's a small area. There are Hamas people they've cited in different areas. Like today, I think they went into a hospital in Rafah. They say, the IDF says that there was that they were hiding hostages there and that there were Hamas individuals in the hospital. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. But the hospital, and the largest hospital, I think it's Al Sharif, they did find tunnels underneath the hospital. They found a hostage that they rescued from there. They had proof that there were other hostages taken in there and that there were weapons at that hospital. So
yeah,
part of what Israel said has been proven, part of it is not. It's just a terrible situation, and Hamas could surrender.
Yeah.
Or Hamas could surrender, and everything would be fine.
It is a terrible situation. I just don't see how any of this. I see how none of this gets us closer to a ceasefire. Number one, and number two, a huge story out earlier this week that for all that Israel has done, while they've made a dent in Hamas's capabilities, they come nowhere near wiping out Hamas. Take that for what it's worth. We'll leave it there for now. Congressman Steve Cohen, good to have you on this program. All the best to you, my friend. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Take care, Tavis.
Good to have you on. When we come forward in our next hour, as promised, a conversation about cussing. What's up with all the cussing? A fascinating conversation that you don't want to miss when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
Thank you for joining us, everyone. I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Jury selection in Donald Trump's hush money trial will begin next month. A New York judge today denied Trump's motions to dismiss the charges and said the case will proceed to jury selection on March 25th. The decision came just minutes after Trump entered the courtroom for the hearing this morning. Trump faces felony counts of falsifying business records connected to alleged payments made to an adult film actress during his 2016 presidential run. New York City is suing social media companies over their roles in fueling the mental health crisis among children. African-American Mayor Eric Adams says the city is joining hundreds of school districts from across the country in filing litigation against TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, and YouTube. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Don't miss huge savings on better sleep during Mattress Firm's President's Day sale. For a limited time, shop in store to score a Sleepy's Queen mattress for only $89.99. That's over 60% off and the lowest price ever. So hurry in today. This deal is only here while supplies last.
This is the KBLA.
Utah by 16. Anthony Davis had 37 points and